It's a beautiful morning. I think I'll go outside for a while and just smile. Just taking some clean.
Good morning, ladies and gents. Krebs here, bringing you guys another very exciting replay. This time around it's going to be decently long, another user submitted one should I say, and lots of action, so that is what you guys like to see and that is what you're going to get. Now then, this is going to be a game on Red Bull Express. Let's get this game started, by the way. And I've just switched up the starting positions so you guys cannot figure out who might win this game or who submitted it. And I think that's the correct way to go about, just so you guys don't expect, oh yeah, if it's submitted by this player, maybe they were the ones that won it. Well, that is not the case because I have totally mixed it up. So anyway, this is going to be a 3v3 on Red Bull Express. If 2v2 was hard enough for me to cast, well, I have just taken it up a notch and decided let's throw in another 2 players and make it a 3v3. Okay, so this is going to be what I believe is, yes, 3 Americans, robinrobin, teammate Sungea. I'm sorry, I'm gonna very much so butcher these names. I'm very sorry. FrCohPlayer, so I'm guessing FrCohPlayer. Their opponents, I don't want to say that name, fuckito. Hopefully that is not too vulgar. Gary168 and his other teammate Chester. I'll stop at Chester. Okay, so they are going to be, if we switch on over to the Wehrmacht, they are going to be versing each other in this map. Now, the Red Bull Express was a sort of famous route in World War II. The funny thing about Company Heroes is that it's not the most accurate, historically accurate game. For example, some of the units such as the Pershing and the King Tiger were hardly seen in battle. And also some stuff such as the Knights Crossholders you pretty much would never see a squad of 3 officers of such high ranks running about together. But also the Red Bull Express was not an actual map, it was a convoy route that was set up just shortly after D-Day in order to get supplies to the frontline troops. So I'm guessing the sort of airborne troops. And so it's not an actual map, this is something probably of fiction. So a big long trail right through the center of the map. And what happens in Red Bull Express is that you can pretty much divide it into 3 sectors. You got your left sector over here, I suppose the most western one. You've got the center one, and you've got an eastern one over here. Now then, what the opponents are doing, they're both what seems to be focusing one on each side. So we have capping on the left-hand side, we've got capping in the center, and we have capping on the right-hand side. Okay, I'm going to let you guys know on a secret. This is something I do not want you guys to pass around, because nobody's supposed to know about this. But there's actually a very good tactic strategy in Red Bull Express. As I said, don't pass it around, I'm just joking. But it is 2 mid and 1 on the side. So 2 people go on the center and focus on the fuel, because most of the fuel is on the center of the map, whilst you have your ammunition on the sides. So 2 people go center and 1 person goes on the side, and that really depends. It doesn't really matter which side, 1 person goes that way. And basically by doing so, you'll conquer the center, you will have the teching advantage, and then you can start encircling the other side that you have not managed to cap. And that little side that doesn't get much of attention, what you can do there is just maybe send an engineer or a pioneer at most to cap away there. But anyway, let's focus on the action, because there is so much happening on the map right now. We have shimwagons, we have MGs, we have badly damaged pioneers. What else do we have going on? We have retreating riflemen, we have panzer grenadiers, and wow, this is so much action to take in. This engineer squad just retreating and being absolutely blasted to the face, taken out by the panzer grenadiers, so mercilessly being taken out there. So we have a bit of flanking Volksgrenadiers coming in along the side here, and this is pretty cool stuff about the Red Bull Express. There's so many strategic and tactical options of flanking your opponent. So you can come around this little opening over here, and it's just lots and lots of stuff going on. So the Wehrmacht are just trying to keep their place in the center. We have the allies that have capped away at most of the VPs except the western one. But what is this? We have a mortar. and just a whole bunch of stuff. Flame Pioneers, so much going on the field right now. I believe we saw 2 barracks from the Allies and a WSC. That is why we have the WSC units out, such as the mortar and whatever else. I hear an MG going about there, an HMG should I say. And so very good stuff. And we also have mines coming down from the engineers. So mines, a very sure way of knowing that your opponent is a good opponent if they're doing such advanced sort of tactics like that, and putting them in choke points as well. So this is a very good place because it's most likely that the people will come along this area. Although I would like to see the mines right in the bang center of this fence, because it is possible they could come around the side over here and just totally avoid those mines. But then again, that's one of out of a 2 chance. So this little shimwagon just is combating the Jeep. Who can be the better one? Who can be the better mobile sort of MG? Oh, I don't know. This is really a snail's game race. They're hardly damaging each other. The Jeeps and Shimwagons are more meant to be harassive units, so whenever there's engineers capping or pioneers, you're supposed to just get right up in there and up into their face. Likewise, if your opponent is just hiding behind some hay bales, you can rush a Shimwagon or a Jeep right into them and force them out of their position. So what looks like was meant to be another mine over here just turned out to be cancelled. The Panzer Grenadiers moving in on their side, a whole big force of them. This Shimwagon, or this Kettenkrad, should I say, is taking a little bit of damage. And some MG suppression going on over here. We do have the Riflemen out with their bars. So very early bars, 6 minutes into the game. And why is that? Because if we look at the map, quickly switch on over to the tactical map. I don't want you guys to lose the action. Look at this. Almost all the fuel points are in the possession of the Americans. So we have all the fuel points right down the center of the line in the Allies' hands. So that is why we're seeing a huge amount of attacking. If we look at the 15 fuel rate on the Axis and switch on over to, say, Sungea, I believe he's an American, plus 40. So that is the difference between 15 and 40. Now we do have Mr. Sungea with the air reconnaissance, so he has gone for airborne. That is why we see the little plane sort of going right through the sky, just scouting about. I'm not exactly sure why. I think this is a bit too early to use air reconnaissance. Usually you would do this on their base to see what they have, for example. But air reconnaissance, I suppose you could use the ammunition better to use, really. Maybe put down mines, maybe get some flamethrowers, stuff like that. Okay, so the WSC American player is rightly so just in the center trying to hold it off by himself because he has the HMGs, he has the capability of doing so. So he also has a sniper, and the sniper's taking some damage, some flak from the Volksgrenadiers, and HMG just being taken out by the Wehrmacht sniper. So the Wehrmacht, the beauty about the Wehrmacht quarters is that they have the ability to get such a variety of units that you as Americans would have to separate from the WSC and the barracks. So the Wehrmacht quarters can build everything that the WSC has, everything that the barracks have, except for the mortar. The mortar comes out during Krieg barracks, obviously. So that is the good thing about the Wehrmacht. They can have all these different variety of things out so early in the game, except the mortars. But we also have the armored car coming out from the PE player, which is immobilized, taken out by a sticky. Now this is a dangerous situation, but not too dangerous. The armored car is going to do a lot of damage against these riflemen, hence why they're sort of retreating. But the armored car is just about to be taken out. Yes, it is taken out, going up in a fury of wreck and destruction and pieces flying everywhere. Okay, so anyway, we have a little forward medic station over here, very, very frontal with that. The Americans must have thought that since they pushed so far forward that they would keep their medic station over here and they would be absolutely fine. No, it does not look like it. The thing about having an advantage over an advantage in the early game is that it's very much so that you will not be able to maintain that advantage. A lot of times if you manage to push your opponent very far back, they will be able to counter your attacks, and so the map will change very drastically. So this medic station really should have been back quite a bit. I actually personally would have put it around maybe the center, just to make it a bit safer, because I mean, front lines, this is going to be sort of a teeter-totter. It's going to go between hands, exchanging constantly, really. So we have big movements of Wehrmacht moving in from the center, just pushing forward. Where are the allies? I cannot see any allies except a lone rifleman squad. It looks like the allies must have been recuperating there. They must have been regaining their forces and reorganizing themselves, because they are just about to move in. Before this oldest action occurs, let's just quickly see what's happening in the bases. We have a casualty clearing center, or a triage center should I say. Also a tank depot very early from the Americans. Also a supply yard out. So I like seeing that sort of stuff. Very early rushes. So the tank depot is out so early because of all that fuel. Obviously the fuel is going back into the hands of the Axis, but that early fuel advantage that the Allies had, they managed to maintain it for a few minutes and got quite a bit out of that. So that's why we see the tank depot, and that will be quite devastating. We don't even have any signs of the Krieg barracks out yet, or a Sturm armory or anything like that. The only anti-tank we saw was some Panzerschrecks on the Panzer Grenadiers. So whatever comes out of the tank depot, if it does, will definitely do quite a bit of damage this early into the game. So if we just see there's a bit of units being suppressed, the snipers are moving in to try and take out this HM or this MG, and rightly so. One shot taking out the helmet of this little gentleman, and he is falling right to the ground. The paratroopers retreating, so that is the airborne doctrine in its finest. The Americans managed to push away the Wehrmacht on the right-hand side, so we saw quite a presence over here, but we see the Shimwagon destruction. Too bad we could not see this, but the Shimwagon has been destroyed. And what is this? This is a pack. Americans cannot get a pack. They must have taken out a Axis pack and taken it for themselves. So very nice use by the Americans. It'll be very good to combat any PE vehicles that come out early, and this is the M4 Sherman out from that tank depot, so that early fuel advantage is in the hands of the Americans. Let's see what's happening over in the Axis base. We have the Panzerjäger command, and that is why we saw the armor command. We have the Krieg barracks out by fuckito, and another Krieg barracks by Chester. Okay, just Chester. I can't say that name. And so that is why we see the packs on the field. Okay, the Sherman just taking about probably 1 or 2 shots from the pack, just circling around it. Very nice use of the Sherman circle. Just trying to avoid that pack actually managed to get any shots. And so he's trying to reverse. Will the pack be able to get him? No, not in the nick of time. The tracking speed is too slow on the pack. And what is that? That little vehicle was taken out by the Rangers. So that means we have the infantry doctrine selected by FrCohPlayer. And so this is not looking good. The Rangers just managed to take out that pack, but the Sherman is very badly damaged with Volksgrenadiers closing in and some Panzerschrecks. Oh my god, Sherman, get out of there, get out of there. We just see the screen shaking violently from mortar barrages, and it looks like the Sherman is taken out by this mass sweep of Panzer Grenadiers moving in. This is such a heavy swarm of men. All these guys moving in, but the snipers getting right in there, trying to counter what they can. This is a huge mass movement of men. How are the Americans going to respond to this? These snipers doing devastating amount of damage onto the squads, focusing one by one on trying to take them out. Missing shots. A whole bunch of Panzer Grenadiers have to get out of there. This is a very good thing about the snipers and smart players, is that they focus on individual Panzer Grenadiers. So if you're going to be if you're going to meet a big swarm of Panzer Grenadier squads, say multiple, maybe 5, 6, what you want to do is use your snipers to take out one man from each squad. That way, because the Panzer Grenadiers are so low on men, they have to retreat, or else they are put in a very vulnerable position of losing their men. So it's much more advisable to go for one man at a time. This engineer squad being too frontal, and oh no, he just realizes it, and oh no, the MP40s, even though they were only good at close range, the engineers were so low on health, they were down, shot in the back. Now we had the mortar half-track just take out the mine over here. He must have been obviously aware of that. So I like that sort of stuff. The PE have a very difficult time of actually finding mines on the map. They I believe the Kettenkrads and the little Shimwagons are able to detect them. I think actually passively when they're moving about as well, they're able to detect them, at least so I've noticed in a few of my games. And also by activating Fieldcraft, when your infantry are stationary, they can also detect them as well. So it is sort of cool seeing that the PE, they can't use minesweepers to detect them, so what they instead use is their mortar half-tracks, any sort of weaponry, their armored cars, or even the anti-tank half-track, just targeting ground and shooting away at the mines. Okay, so the Axis have actually closed off this position. They realize that over and over and over again, the Americans have been constantly pushing in on them. So what they have done is delayed the Americans by closing off this sector and putting an MG over here so that an engineer cannot get in there and activate his little cut wire ability and cut these wires. So the MG totally suppressing all these squads. The only way that the squads can get around is by going fully around the hedges, which is a very dangerous position to be in for the Americans. And oh my gosh, this MG taking a lot of damage and is taken out by the two snipers. Now, what I really like to see, and why is this guy slowed down so much? Oh, I know why. It is because he activated his healing medical kit. By activating your medical kit, it severely slows you down, and that is why we saw the sniper retreat at such a slow pace. And that is why the Americans managed to take him out, so that medical kit acting against in favor of that sniper. 3 snipers out from Mr. Sungea. That is a lot of snipers. This is going to be such an effective counter against all the Panzer Grenadiers on the field. This mortar half-track obviously not realizing that there is a bunch of Rangers right beside him. Obviously going to be taken out now. The little Thompsons are going to be enough to damage it, but the bazookas obviously a much better effective way of taking the mortar half-track out. The Wehr 43s getting right in there, trying to do something, but that's kind of iffy. The Wehr 43s are better at longer range, or I suppose they're decent at longer range. Obviously they're going to be more accurate at close range, but still kind of an iffy thing, especially when the Rangers could have Thompsons being much better than the Wehr 43 close range. Okay, so another Sherman on the field. Lots of Americans, they are really pushing in on the Axis. I mean, the Axis are really losing a lot of their units. They just lost another Volksgrenadier squad. The Axis lost a mortar half-track, multiple MGs, and so they are really on the back foot. The Axis are responding with an Ostwind, so kind of a good mixture of having a pack out there and an Ostwind to counter the infantry. The Sherman is very badly damaged, trying to avoid the pack. The pack is just trying to maneuver itself around so as to somehow get the Sherman, and it is turning around. Come on, Sherman, no, you are going the wrong direction. You gotta reverse. No, no, no. Oh, and being taken out, the wheels flying right in the air. The paratroopers getting right in there with the recoilless rifles to take on that Ostwind. The Ostwind very badly damaged, so what seems to be an eye for an eye. The M4 Sherman was taken out, and the Ostwind is just about taken out, a badly damaged engine and destroyed gun. The pack also is in much so of need of reinforcements, but most likely is going to be taken out by these men. So what else is going on along the front? Let's actually focus on the bases and what the doctrines they have. So robinrobin, the American player, he has gone for his armor doctrine. So he has his Allied War Machine activated, or taken anyway. So he's gone along the right hand side of that. So interesting sort of things. If he gets a lot of tanks, he will be able to activate Allied War Machine and get them back for free. Likewise, if he continues up this path, he'll be able to get Calliopes, and the Calliopes will have a lot of opportunities to barrage the Axis with, well, lots of rockets. Especially, the rockets will be especially good against all of these Grenadiers, especially how they're massed up. The good thing about the Panzer Grenadiers, if you have lots of infantry together, they have a zeal sort of effect, and, well, zeal helps you out in a lot of ways. I can't tell you the exact bonuses because zeal works in quite a funky sort of way, but, you know, it is out there. It does buff up your infantry, and it's something to note of course. And so we just have a bunch of squads just doing a lot of damage, trying to do what they can, obviously being suppressed by the infantry, throwing a few incendiary grenades, almost taking out the paratroopers, but luckily one of them was able to get out of there. So this seems like a failed attack. The Wehrmacht or the Axis just tried to get in there and break what defenses the Allies had, but the Allies bringing in reinforcements had enough to counter the oncoming attack. So if you focus on over to FrCohPlayer, he has the infantry doctrine, and that's why he has the Rangers out, taking out that Ostwind, and a forced retreat activated on the Rangers a bit too late just after that Ostwind was taken out. We even have the packs going into the base and the Sherman. Oh my gosh, this is looking so bad for the Wehrmacht. They are pushed right back to their base, literally in their base. We just have in the nick of time Panzer IVs made by fuckito and Chester producing a Geschützwagen. Look at that damage, almost from half health to nothing on the M4 Sherman. Allied War Machine is activated on the M4 Sherman, and that is, I would actually personally not even bother destroying this Sherman anymore. I mean, its gun is taken out, there's no reason to destroy it, and for the Allied player to get it back. I mean, come on, no, do not do, oh jeez. I think personally Chester should not have destroyed that, because then the Allied player could not have gotten it back. And I mean, the Sherman couldn't have done anything anyway, since its gun was destroyed. But anyway, something to note, just trying to be a bit of a smarter player. So multiple MP4s, and oh my gosh, here we go, the Calliope Barrage coming in. Look at the devastation. Why do I see flying riflemen and not flying Panzer Grenadiers? But here we go, look at this, all this destruction, all these men rolling on the floor, not laughing. They're not rolling on the floor laughing, they're rolling on the floor in death. And what is this? The Calliope from Mr. Robin. So he continued down the right-hand side of his armor doctrine. That is why we saw that Calliope come out. So if we switch on over to Sungea, he has the airborne doctrine, and so that's why we saw the paratroopers. Let's switch on over to Gari. He has gone for sector artillery, so he has scorched earth doctrine. He's gone down the right-hand side. Interesting choice by him. I do believe we heard some booby traps going off, so I think he might have invested a little bit into his left-hand side. And I did just get a whisper from Ashley Banner. Hold on, I'll just whisper her quickly. Or can I not whisper during games? Oh, I cannot whisper during replays. Oh well. I'm sorry, Ashley Banner. I will try to talk to you after the replay if I remember. So Gari 168. Let's switch on over to fuckito, see what he has. He has the Terror Doctrine, Propaganda War. That is why we see a whole bunch of paratroopers retreating. But 3 snipers getting a bit too cocky. They have to really get on out of there before these MP484s and the Knights Cross holders close in. They're just going to full out retreat because there is no way they're going to outrun all these guns. It's a very scary thing. And the Thompsons, the Rangers meeting them halfway to protect those retreating snipers. Oh my gosh, what could come out of this? The Rangers having to retreat because they just lost a bunch of guys. This is what I love. All these incendiary grenades coming down from the PE player, not even caring about the Knights Cross holders and how they just had to retreat there and taking a lot of damage. I'm not exactly sure if this is 100% certain on this, but I do believe I read it somewhere that the Knights Cross holders have heroic armor, and thus they might take more damage from flames, or maybe that is to do with elite armor. I will have to research that a little bit more. It's obviously something good to note. Now, the Americans are totally being pushed back. What we saw earlier in the center anyway, they're totally being pushed back. We saw the Americans have a heavy presence in the Axis base, but now they're being totally pushed back. So out of nowhere, we saw that Geschützwagen, that Panzer IV, and a whole bunch of infantry produced from the Axis, and they managed to chase away the allies from their base. And just by effective use of their doctrine abilities such as forced retreat, all the anti-infantry, and charging in right there, it's sort of a blitzkrieg-like maneuver. This blitzkrieg-like maneuver, as we saw, just penetrating everything the allies had, just forcing them back entirely. The allies, just not even realizing what had happened to them, had to retreat everything they had. Everything. So that left their center open, they left the left-hand side open, the western side, and the eastern side as well. But luckily the allies have managed to reorganize themselves and do have 2 Shermans out, so a anti-tank sort of presence on the field. However, the Geschützwagen with its massive range will do a lot of damage on this M4 Sherman. Now, It does have Veterancy 1 on it, and the hard thing to remember playing as the Wehrmacht player is that almost all of their units, not the infantry anyway, but the vehicles have almost a totally different veterancy bonuses on them. So it's kind of difficult for me to remember what the Geschützwagen has, but I do know that on during Veterancy 2 it does get its MG turret activated, and during a 2.602 change was that at Veterancy 2 it only gets plus 25% weapon cooldown or reload increase instead of the plus 50% from 2.601. So something to note there. Now the veterancy on the vehicles really depends on which vehicle it is. So the Pumas, for example, are different from the Geschützwagens, which are different from Stugs, which are different from Ostwinds, which are different from Panthers, and all know they do different sort of things. For example, some of them might do increased sight range, such as the Pumas. Some of them might do more health. Some of them do quicker reloading. And what was that? Just before the Sherman was taken out, we saw Allied War Machine activated there. Whole bunch of Pioneers trying to defend their pack, but oh my gosh, they're not going to stand a chance against the Rangers right here, and they were absolutely obliterated. Look at all of them just raising their hands up into the air. Help me, screaming out for their comrades to pick them up. But instead, the combat is continuing on. They are left to die a very sad death. I'm very sorry to see something like that. Now, we do have the defensive artillery activated by the defensive commander. Who is that? Let's see, maybe it's Chester. And yes, it is Chester. He has registered artillery. That's why we saw the 125 ammunition spent on that big mortar barrage there. So I like seeing that sort of stuff. The defensive commander is actually my personal favorite as the Wehrmacht player, because I absolutely love For the Fatherland. It gives you such great bonuses, and it's definitely something to keep a note of. Also, we have the M4 Sherman just being absolutely destroyed here, and the paratroopers retreating. Okay, so lots of action at the moment. Lots of destruction, so the Allies are really losing a lot of their units. They still managed to have the Calliope. They did get that free Sherman from the Allied War Machine, so I like seeing that sort of stuff. And so just more stuff going on. We have the Panzer Grenadiers moving in with their 4-man squads, taking a whole bunch of strafing run right there. A whole bunch of them have to retreat. They have multiple veterancies on them, defensive veterancies, so I like seeing that sort of stuff. A bit of a Calliope Barrage coming down, and very interesting indeed. Okay, so we do have just a bit of a MG taking a bit of Calliope fire right to them, and being totally having to retreat. So the Allies have a lot of capability at the moment. They have 2 Shermans, they have a pack, so really just lots of anti-infantry, lots of anti-tank, and even artillery of their own. They're even observation posting the right-hand side, this munitions point. Obviously, they realize that they're going to be a little bit low on the ammunition respect, and especially when you got the armor doctrine and you have the Allied War Machine coming in at 200 manpower, or 200 ammunition, should I say, then that ammunition is going to be very, very important. Now this Sherman is very badly damaged, really needs to get out of there, and funnily enough the pack was taken out, so that is absolutely okay. Veterancy 2 on the Riflemen, Veterancy 2 on the Pioneers, and all interesting stuff. I believe the Pioneers at Veterancy 1, they do get a health regeneration sort of thing. At Veterancy 2, they get another bonus, and this is when it becomes really difficult. I'm not exactly sure if Pioneers get elite armor. Maybe they do, but this is when it becomes really difficult to remember all the veterancies for the Wehrmacht, because literally so many of them are just so different from each other. But all in all, you do know that they all benefit them in some sort of way, and making them stronger, obviously. So the Panzer Grenadiers look like they had to retreat on the western side of the map. Before doing that, they managed to booby trap all the points and very good indeed of them to do so. So they are moving in on the right hand side, booby trapping the strategic point, and this is what I like about the armored or the scorched earth doctrine, is that they have the ability to put down the booby traps and make life difficult for the Americans. What is this? Is it activated? There we go, just exploding, but they obviously realized that, and this one exploding as well, and they realized that is happening. Oh my gosh, even though they tried to avoid that, they lost 2 paratroopers in the meantime. So even though you might realize that you were avoiding them, you still might lose a few men when it explodes. Okay, so a bunch of action here. What is happening? We have 2 Knights Cross squads just combating the Rangers. The Calliope taken out by the King Tiger. Oh gosh, here we go. Fuckito with his terror doctrine, bringing out the behemoth of behemoths. This is the King Tiger, just absolutely annihilating the Calliope and being the absolute terror of everything. Just such a slow, menacing tank. Look at it as it's leading, commanding all of this frontal army. It is just riding right into there, into battle. Just absolutely devastating turret. Look at it, it's huge explosion, just doing massive damage. And this is just a terror of its own. So what is this? We have a bit of a bombing run, taking out 2 of the Pumas. The Wehrmacht player obviously not realizing that something was coming down. This it was only meant to hit 1 Puma, but just in the nick of time, this Puma that was just trying to avoid it was not fast enough, and both of them being taken out. Very good use this bombing run there. Usually bombing run is quite a useless ability, as in it misses quite often, but that was very good use. I like seeing that. So we have the King Tiger just moving in, just absolutely wrecking havoc. The Allies are going to have such a hard time, considering that there are packs on the field, considering that there's anti-infantry. How are they going to combat such a big vehicle? That is a very good question indeed. Instead, what I would like to see is them focus elsewhere on the map. Perhaps put some defenses over here, but not too much. Just enough to hold off the King Tiger. But what they really should be doing is focusing on the other side. So the Wehrmacht and the Axis are just sort of pushed back. We have massive blob of Panzer Grenadiers. I like seeing these sort of blobs moving together. Well, really, I shouldn't say I like it, but but I like seeing these mass amounts of men, because you know action is just on the way. So the MP40s, MP44s, and the Wehr 43 getting right in on the paratroopers, throwing loads and loads of incendiary grenades. They're absolutely wrecking havoc on these guys. As you guys can see, they're just absolutely devastating them. The snipers, oh my god, get out of there. This one looks like he's going to go down, and yes, he's absolutely mauled down in a fury of bullets. The Rangers, I've never seen so many Rangers in a game. This is absolutely loads and loads and loads. MP40 or Thompsons on the Rangers are going to be just as devastating as the MP44s on the Panzer Grenadiers. Now the Panzer Grenadiers, when they get to their 3rd veterancy, defensive veterancy especially, they become very, very difficult to take out. As you guys can see, despite all those Thompson damage, they only managed to lose like 1 or 2 guys. And what is this? We had a whole bunch of action over here. What is it? What is this? M18? This could be in a Hellcat. Just looking from the turret, the open turret. So the King Tiger actually lost a lot of damage, a lot of its health there. There's a whole bunch of destruction. It's too bad we had to miss this sort of action whilst there was more action happening on the center. But we have a mass movement of Rangers just trying to get in there, trying to cut off the King Tiger. Oh my gosh, this could look bad for the King Tiger if this is executed properly by the Rangers. What I'd like to see the Rangers do is possibly use their is it heroic charge? I can't even remember, but their sprinting ability to get around it, and no, instead they're retreating because there are too many Pumas. They were so close to taking that King Tiger. If they used that heroic charge to get around the rear armor of the King Tiger, they could have possibly even taken it out. That would be so bad for them. However, the King Tiger could have a possibility of coming back on the field if it was destroyed, and the reason it could come back on the field is because there is a PE player and he could get the Barrage Tiger. The Barrage Tiger is totally capable of resurrecting King Tigers, and all of that stuff of the like. In a previous replay that I did, it was a Tale of 3 Beasts, I believe it was. It's somewhere down the upload list, but it was a game on Lorraine, and basically one of the players was a PE player, and all in all, this player actually managed to use his Burst Tiger to bring back to life 2 tigers, and so the person in total, the Wehrmacht player, had 3 tigers in total in one game. That was absolutely insane, but it's totally possible to happen. So this Calliope absolutely devastating the Pioneers, trying to repair this King Tiger. This Sherman was taken out. We just see Sherman wrecks everywhere. The Shermans are really sacrificing themselves. We have Pumas crashing right into the tree. Another Calliope Barrage right on the King Tiger. Oh my god, damn, man, main gun destroyed and out of control. Oh no! Oh no, indeed. Oh my gosh, no, the King Tiger was taken out. Robin in a fury of delight and joy. Oh my gosh, they are really moving in on the Wehrmacht, absolutely destroying, wrecking their King Tiger and wrecking their Pumas. This is a horrible devastation for the Wehrmacht. The Wehrmacht are moving right on in there. The Panzer Grenadiers are going to have to relocate themselves to try and combat this huge movement of airborne. And the MP-44 is getting right in on there. We have sector artillery activated on this sector. And oh my gosh, that was very, very good action by the Allies and the Americans there. I've never seen such a good maneuverability of all their units. Just absolutely devastating the frontal line, the combat line of the Wehrmacht there. It's unfortunate that the sector artillery was called down and they had to retreat. But that was very good. Now the Americans are totally focusing on the center now because the Panzer Grenadiers have relocated themselves. They're just booby-trapping all the points to make life more difficult. On the western side of the map, we have just a bit of capping from a Kettenkrad, a little Goliath. Oh, hello, Goliath. How are you? We don't usually see Goliaths, but very good idea by fuckito. If we switch on over to him, give him a little bit of attention. He has quite a bit of ammunition, so pretty cool that using that 125 ammunition to produce a Goliath, and this will be very good against blobs. So this defensive registered artillery did look like it managed to take out a rifleman squad, so kind of big losses for the Americans. They could really, if they kept their unit preservation a little bit better, they could definitely do a lot better in terms of winning this game. But then again, it's kind of difficult considering that there's registered artillery, that there's booby traps. It really puts a strain on your micro. And so this rifleman squad, 48 points for the Wehrmacht. They're trying to win this by points. 47 points for the Wehrmacht and 241 for the Americans. They are really trying to, the Wehrmacht are trying to cap away at this point. And oh my gosh, 44 points. What is this? I see artillery coming down from the Axis base. I believe, okay, this is my idea. It's going to be the Hummel. It is going to be the Hummel, and yes, it is the Hummel. And so the Hummel coming down from the right-hand side of the Scorched Earth Doctrine, I believe, or is it the left-hand side? I can't exactly remember. But it is activated, and that is why we see the Hummel just going to be using its ability to shoot down artillery, and that is going to be such devastation. We also have a Wehr. Yes, we do, from the Sturm Army, from Chester. This is such devastation for the Americans. They are really taking a lot of flak, not even from direct assaults, but from these long-range Pumas, from artillery, from registered artillery, from booby traps, from Wehrers. They're taking basically all these indirect sort of damage, and then you have the MP-44s closing in to mop up whatever is left. And so these MP-44s really doing a lot of damage on the Rangers. As you guys can see, these MP-44s are very hard to kill. Surprisingly, the two Ranger squads were able to annihilate a Veterancy 3 Panzer Grenadier squad, so very good use, as those Veterancies are very hard to get. We have the Armor Doctrine out from robinrobin, and he has the Pershing out, should I say, taking out the Geschützwagen. Mass movement of guys here. Oh my gosh, no! No, 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 no! Robin losing a whole bunch of his Rangers there. He was just asking to be artillery. If he just separated those guys, this attack would be so much more effective. He could have moved in on those men, but instead he's taking mass casualties from the Hummel. Oh no, the Puma just about to go down from the Pershing. The Pershing is down to less than half health, should I say. And the Puma at last is out of luck. The Barrage Tiger trying to get in there and repair the King Tiger. Oh my gosh, this is looking so good for the Wehrmacht. They had the possibility of getting this King Tiger. Oh my gosh, the Pershing. It could have taken out the Barrage Tiger, but no, it couldn't have, because there are 2 Panthers from Mr. Gary. And is Gary the Panzer elite player? Yes, he is. That is why we have these slightly different looking Panthers on the field. And oh my gosh, the Barrage Tiger, as I was talking about, I didn't even watch the replay this far in. I didn't actually believe that they would have gone for Barrage Tiger, but funnily enough, they have gone for the Barrage Tiger. This is absolutely insane. We are seeing everything that the opponents can bring out on the field. They have every single diversity of units, all the upgrades, all the doctrinal sort of stuff. They have mass amounts of men. This is constantly changing sides back and forth. I absolutely am enjoying this game. I hope you guys are enjoying it as much as I am. The King Tiger just brought back to life. Oh my gosh, the King is once again back on his throne, about to make his presence known to the rest of the world. The Calliopes must be getting ready for a barrage or some sort, but the King Tiger still needs to be repaired. Badly damaged engine now. Take a whole bunch of flak rocket damage. This Barrage Tiger needs to get in there and repair its gun. Because without its gun, the King Tiger, as formidable as it might be, is really a pussycat without that turret. And so the Panthers right moving in on the Calliopes. The Calliope has a veteran C2. He could be losing this very promptly. And oh no, instead he's activating Allied War Machine. He will not be getting that veteran C2 on the Calliope. However, veteran C, he will be getting the Calliope back. So like seeing that. M18 Hellcats, very cheap sort of anti-tank, but very weak. As you guys saw, 2 shots from the Panthers, absolutely annihilating it from 3/4 of its health. And so, did it get the M18 just in the nick of time? Did it get it back? I can't even see where it might have came back. And yes, it did. It got the Calliope and the M18 back, so very good use of the Allied, or the Allied War Machine. This Panther being too bold and taken out from the paratroopers and the M18 Hellcat. Now forming a counterattack to move in on the last Panther. The Rangers coming in through the strategic sort of opening in the hedgerows, trying to close in on the Panther. But no, we have sector artillery, so accurate, absolutely devastating the Rangers, activated on the sector to provide the Panthers something to fall back upon. And so what is this? We have a massive amount of men just moving in. This is really open to anybody taking this game. 23 points for the Wehrmacht. However, they have 2 out of the 3 victory points. 184 points left for the Allied players. And oh my god, this is insane. I cannot even predict who is going to win this. Both players have a lot of units. Both players are clearly very expert on what they should do. We also have the King Tiger just repaired. This is really open up to anyone taking this. Constant artillery barrages, constant everything. This is absolutely insane. We have absolutely no action occurring on the western side of the map. All the action is focused on the center and mostly the eastern side. That's why we see so many craters. I hear some sort of artillery going about, I believe. Just something. Yes, the Hummel is doing something. Just landing some shots over here on the M18 Hellcat, just barely missing it. Just the paratroopers with the Veteran 3 right up on in there, doing some damage on the armored car. And oh my gosh, the M18 obviously a bit too bold, taking some sort of damage from the Hummel and was destroyed by it. What is this? There's some sort of wrecks flying about. That looks like a pack wreck just flying about the map. And, jeez, the King Tiger is not even moving at the moment. The Barrage Tiger is taken out. Now, what is it? What the heck is this? Wow, this is strange. I'm not exactly sure if it was like this in the game, but this is definitely a bug. I hope you guys are seeing this, but the King Tiger is facing the wrong direction, and he is somehow managing to shoot. I don't know if it was actually like that in the game, but in the replay, that looks very, very strange. Nothing else to say about that. That just definitely looks weird. We'll see what happens. So just more squads moving about. Massive confrontations on the victory point. Obviously the Allies want to win this by points. and rightly so, because they are fighting a very attrition-like war. They are having to bring back men constantly onto field. The points are moving back constantly. Veterancy, we have multiple veterancy 3s on the Wehrmacht, so the allied players really need to try and take out as much as possible on the Wehrmacht. So Mr. Fuckito, if we switch on over to him, he used a bit of what looked like assault grenades there. And the reason he could do that was because of Knights Crossholders. They do have that ability, despite not being the Blitzkrieg Doctrine. So that's absolutely fine. So close to taking out this Knights Crossholder. It's unfortunate they didn't actually try and chase it down and take it out. But oh well. This Veterancy 2 Rifleman Squad, please get away, please get away. Yes, he does get away, because Veterancy 2, losing that at this point in the game is such a big loss. We have 4 snipers. Oh my gosh. What could this be? These snipers being much too bold, especially this Veterancy 2 sniper. Now, the Veterancy 2 sniper is pretty interesting. I did take a look up at COH stats before this game to see what veterancy that the snipers get. They get some kind of unusual ones. Basically, they become harder to detect. They become harder to detect. They are harder to kill, and also that sort of stuff. So kind of interesting stuff to note. There is a Veterancy 3 squad just combating a Veterancy Knights Crossholder. Veterancy 3 Knights Crossholder. And so Veterancy everywhere. Veterancy everywhere. King Tiger's still here in a very weird position. I honestly cannot comment on this. I mean, this is just some sort of bugged King Tiger or something. But loads and loads of Pumas. I mean, this map is pretty much half-half down the way, although in the favor of the Wehrmacht. The Americans are really on the back foot. I mean, they have lost so many units. They are really relying on what they have at the moment. But the Wehrmacht, they have managed to hold in long enough into this game that they have multiple veterancies, as I keep on stressing. They have Veterancy 3 on their Pumas. They have the King Tiger. They have the flak coming down. They have bunkers set up. They have booby traps. They have loads and loads of Panthers with veterancy on them. They have sector artillery coming down. This is really not looking in the favor of the Americans, even though they have lots of veterancy. The veterancy on the Americans is much better than the veterancy that the Wehrmacht get. However, the Americans have to earn it, and rightly so that it is better, because they do have to earn it. Okay, so this game is close to the end, but still open, because there are 17 points left for the Wehrmacht. It looks like the Americans are going to focus on the western side of the map, because there's not much action here. The booby trap building with an MG in it, obviously going to provide a lot of hassle for anyone who's trying to capture that point. We did see a sort of wreck sound activated, so something was destroyed. This flak is just trying to penetrate this M18 Hellcat. Will it be able to shoot it from that far away? Oh no, it doesn't look like it. So we have the Calliope doing some action here. Some action over here. Oh no, which should we focus on? Let's just see what the barrage is landing on. Oh, landing right on the flak, taking it out. It had Veterancy 3, that flak. And interesting enough, because the Veterancy 3 is purchasable along with the other Wehrmacht Veterancy. And so just what was meant to be a sort of attack over here from the paratroopers trying to probably take the victory point looks kind of unsuccessful. All these Wehrmacht forces, Axis forces, are just absolutely devastating what the Americans have, absolutely denying them of their chance, their opportunity to even move in. So we have multiple bunkers going down on the victory points, obviously protecting them. The M18 Hellcat just about to go down, and yes, it is taken out. It looks like the Axis, or the Americans should I say, are in a very desperate situation. They're so close to winning, however, they are in such a bad position, even even sacrificing the riflemen to just do something. Now this King Tiger is absolutely bugged, as you guys can see. I'm guessing this must be the replay. I don't imagine it will be like that in the actual game, but fair enough. It looks kind of weird, but that is the game for you. So 17 points to 21. Wow, that was very a very tiring game. It was very, very exciting, but very tiring to as a commentator to commentate on. I'm sure you guys will absolutely enjoy watching this, rightly so, after watching it anyway. So 17 points to 8, all 3 points in the hands of the Wehrmacht, except this one in the hands of the Americans, but still 4 points left for the Americans, 3 points left. This is looking very, very bad, and pretty much no chance whatsoever. 17 to 2, 17 to 2, 17 for 1, and that is it. Good game, rematch. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed this game. There's a lot of action, and this is definitely in my opinion, one of the best games I have ever watched, especially on Red Bull, and actually in general, just one of the best games I've ever watched. All these players definitely knew what they were doing. They could have worked a bit on the unit preservation, but then again, considering there's so much happening on the field, wow. That was very good. So well done to both players for having such a great game. And this was indeed a user-submitted game. So I'm very impressed by the quality of some of these games that the users are submitting. And so well done, everyone. Hope you all enjoyed this. This is Krebs Co, and I will catch you all later.